Did it start? Okay, hello, welcome to my first Facebook Live. I am Racheli Sachs and I'm in Imagine Studio. And today I'll be painting with you this painting, the Flamingos in front of the sunset. This is an example painting and I will be doing it along with you on this smaller painting, the smaller canvas. You can do it on a small canvas, a large canvas, on a thick paper or cardboard. It also works. I'm going to be painting with gouache paints, and you can choose if you have acrylics at home or even a watercolor painting. This would turn out very beautiful with watercolor paints. I'll start by showing you all the supplies that I have so you can start by setting yourself up. I'll first show you the paints because I already set them up on a little plate. See, I have a special palette for paints, but you can use a disposable plate or even a regular plate. The first color that we're going to be doing is light blue on the lake. So as you can see, I put here light blue. And then the center part, which is the mountains and the trees, are going to be brown. And here is the brown. And the sky is also light blue, and there's some dark blue. As you can see, I put it here on the palette already. I'm doing this to give you time to also set up your palette. And then whatever is in the sky also reflects in the lake. We do that later on. I'll guide you through it, of course. The trees have green, light green and dark green. And at the very end, there's a touch of black. And did I mention pink? The pink, of course, the flamingos are pink. And there's some pink in the sky also. The supplies other than paints that you will need are water. I have here just a container, a Tupperware, but you can use a jar or a cup or a Tupperware, like a larger Tupperware also works. Paint brushes, ideally if you have like a thicker paintbrush and a thinner paintbrush. A thicker one is good to cover larger areas, and the thinner ones are good for doing the details, like the little lines on the trees or the little eye. And I will guide you through that, of course. What else do I have here? I have a rag. I like to wipe my brush after I wash the color off the brush, the paint, and then I like to sometimes I don't want it to be too wet, especially if it's standing up, it can drip. But even if it's flat on the table, it can drip. So I recommend having a rag to dry your paint brushes. What else? I think that's it. We'll start the painting with a sketch. If it's on a canvas, you can sketch with a pencil. These colors will pretty much cover up a light pencil line. But I also prefer to sketch on canvases with chalk. So that's another supply that you might have around the house, and if you don't, it's okay. You can use a pencil, a light colored marker or crayon, anything light colored, or if you're making this line light blue, it will probably hide because of the paint of the lake, or even here the light blue will probably hide from the brown paint afterwards. So we want to do the sketching with a light color. So I'm going to start by taking my chalk onto this canvas. And as you can see, there's three sections: the lake, the mountains, and the sky. And another thing to think about is that there is different layers. There's the background and the foreground. So the flamingos are going to be the last things that we do because they're in the front. So we're going to first do the blue in the lake and let that dry. So before we paint the blue in, we're going to draw in the three sections. Your lake can be a different shape. It doesn't have to be in this shape. For example, I'm going to do something that goes like that. That's my lake today. And then you can do the mountains up high with a little sky, or the mountains down low with a bigger sky. I like the sky, so because my canvas is so small, I'm going to do the mountains kind of small here in the distance maybe. Maybe they're like really small. And they can be rounded or pointy. Or even they could be a less wavy too. Mountains can be all kinds of shapes. So that's basically my first. I don't know if it turns out clearly. I'll bring it close. Can you see those lines well? I don't know if you can see it well, but hopefully you get the idea. So now the first step I'm going to do, I'm going to take a wider paintbrush because I'm coloring in the whole light blue of the lake. You see there's other colors in the lake too, reflecting from the sky. I'll add that later, but for now I'm just going to take the light blue. My paintbrush is dry right now. If it's wet, it's okay too. Just kind of dab it on a towel so it doesn't drip. And then, so it's not like soaking wet. And I put it in my light blue, and I'm going to paint in the lake. You see this? I'm going to try to do things quickly, but of course you can take your time, and anyone who's watching this afterwards can pause and rewind, so I don't want to take too long to do this. But this canvas is very small, so it will be pretty quick. So I start by doing the outline where I drew the edge of the lake, because that will help me stay in the lines. Hope you can see. Okay. Hi, Sarah. Okay. I'm already running out of light blue, so look what I'm going to have to do. I ran out. See? It's all gone. So now I have to get some more. This is my paint that I'm using. Of course, you can use acrylic or, see, I'm going to put some more. I'm going to put enough also for the sky. Okay. Okay, so I wish I could do sign language. My cousin Sarah is watching and she's deaf, and I wish I could do sign language, but I don't know so much sign language. Okay, so now I did this first so it could dry first before the last step when we get to the flamingos. So now we're going to do the brown mountains, okay? So I take my water and my paintbrush and I wash my brush really well, really well. And I wipe the extra paint off. And brown paint, see? Brown paint, okay. Now the sky. You see how I start at the line on top? And then I come down. Okay, and on the bottom, I will take one of my smaller brushes. See how it's smaller? And I'll get very close. I get very close to the water line so that it doesn't, to help me stay in the lines. I'm going to this side. Okay. Oopsies. Okay, now I go back to my large brush and I fill in the areas in between. It's so fun to have Sarah with me. On Wednesday, I'll be doing classes in a Zoom type of, I got paint on my shirt. On Wednesday, I'll be doing classes in a Zoom kind of platform, not on Facebook. So I'll be able to see all my students on their screens, and we'll be able to talk, and if someone needs help or has questions, they can ask me. So this is a little funny because I don't see your faces, but you can see mine. Okay. Ah. Okay, good. Now the sky. So again, we can wash the brush. And take more blue, light blue. And put it on here. Wait! I almost forgot the sun. Okay. Good catch, guys. Good catch. Okay. So I need to make the sun, okay? So I'm taking a different paintbrush, okay? And I take yellow. Yellow. Okay. Sun. Where is my sun? Okay, you see, I needed to kind of improvise where my sun was because I had a big mountain here in the middle and the sky came kind of low, so I didn't really feel like I could have squeezed the sun there. I could have, but I decided to put a sun on this side instead. So you'll see, sometimes we make mistakes and then we figure out how to fix them. It's okay. It's art. There's no right and wrong. There's no rules really. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to the light blue. Back to the light blue. I kind of messed up again. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is new for me. I haven't ever done this online live before. I have taught classes here with people, but this has made me a little bit nervous because it's new for me. All right, as you can see here, I have a pink sky before I get to the blue, but my sky is so small here, I might just do something a little different. I'm going to see what it looks like if the pink goes on the blue. I don't want it to turn brown. I think that might be okay. You guys can make your sky different. You might have an orange on your palette. I don't have orange on my palette. You can have orange around the sun. You can have a sky that's orange and red. I'm going to try this pink here, and then when I go over the pink with yellow, it makes a kind of orange color. I'm kind of blending with the blue because I messed up a little bit there. So I'm making it work for me. That's okay. Again, it's always tricky when you're going around the mountains. It's always tricky to kind of stay in the lines. So you have to be really slow there and maybe change into a smaller paintbrush. I have this paintbrush that's pretty pointy, even though it's large. So it's making it possible for me to go around the mountains. And that's okay. That's how you blend colors too, by mixing them. So anyway, over here, the pink and the blue are mixing. And I just don't have so much space here on my sky. So my sky will have very little dark blue. going to add more pink. I will add the yellow soon. I'll let that dry a little bit. Now I'm going to add dark blue. I'm not even washing my paintbrush because everything is kind of blending now. And I want the sky to blend. And I know that blue is dark. And I just dipped the pinkish bluish brush right into the dark blue. And it was okay. You can't even tell. See? The same brush goes into the blue. But I really don't want too much dark blue. Now I'm going to bring it into the light blue. And my sky is going to have more of the, here the yellow is around the whole middle of the page. And here the yellow is going to be kind of on the left side. For me it's left. On the side of the sun is where the yellow will be more. So as you see, I'm bringing the dark blue into the pink and light blue. And the pink also goes up into the dark blue at the same time. They both blend in both directions to kind of smooth it out as much as possible. You can spend a lot of time on the sky. It really is possible to spend a lot of time blending the colors over and over again, a little more into this one, a little more dark blue pulling it down, a little more light blue pulling it up, or pink or yellow or orange. So I'm going to wash now I'm going to wash my brush. My water is getting kind of dirty. Spilling water. Okay. Clean it on the rag. Clean it really well now. Okay. What are we doing now? I'm going to get another brush. I'm going to try to pull the yellow a little bit onto here. No, I don't want the pink into the sun, so that's what I didn't want. That's okay. Actually, on here I do have some pink in the sun. I think I'm going to get a darker yellow. You can add a little bit of orange. You see this? It's a little bit of a darker yellow. Can you tell? It's a little darker than the other yellow. I don't know if you can tell so much, but hopefully we'll be able to tell it on the painting. Not so much. It really doesn't make a big difference. It's a little bit more of a sunset kind of yellow. Okay. It might just have to be my sky for today. Sometimes you can change it more once it dries a little bit more. So maybe we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it a little bit later. We're going to leave this for now, the sun, and we'll come back once it dries a little bit to blend the colors a little bit more. Okay? Hi, Dina. Nice to see you. Sort of see you. Nice to be seen by you. Okay. What's the next step? Let's see. This Facebook is very distracting. Seeing you guys watching me. Okay, let's see what's my next step. All right, so my next step, it's to do the reflection in the water. We can actually bring the reflection down to the water now. So really, in the water, it becomes little lines. So we see where the sun is. Here I reflected it directly below. Here it's going to be on the side a little bit because the sun is to the side. So it's going to come a little bit like this. I'm very lightly touching the canvas. I'm not pushing hard. I have a little bit of paint on my brush and I'm touching it very lightly so that it doesn't take over the light blue. The light blue still shows through the yellow. And I'm kind of making little lines where I think the sun is kind of. It doesn't have to be perfectly round like the sun, but I can kind of have those colors. And I'm going to do the pink a little bit. Okay, now some of the dark blue. That's more on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that so much. Here, I'll do like this. Can you see all this? I'm not sure how good the lighting is. Like for me, when I look in the phone, I don't see it that well, but I hope that you guys can see it better than I can see it. Okay. So now I'm doing this, I'm reflecting the dark blue into the bottom of the river, of the lake. And now the light blue already dried, so I'm actually going to add a little bit of water to my paintbrush just to kind of make the dark blue blend in a little bit. Oh, and it's actually turning a little green because I guess I have a little bit of yellow on my brush still. That's okay. It's fine. Waters and lakes can have green in them, they can have blue, and in a sunset they can have all kinds of colors. So, like I said, in the sky, you can really spend a lot of time blending the colors in. And I usually come back and forth and do a little bit more in the sky, a little bit more in the water. And after the flamingos, you can tell here, I added the dark blue lines under their legs. Okay. Now I'm looking a little bit at the sun to see if I want to add anything up here. I kind of like the way it turned out. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow into the water. Clean my paintbrush so it's not so green. I'm going to add a little bit here. Now I'm adding a little bit of a thicker layer of paint because it is very translucent. I want it to be seen a little bit more than that. And the pink too. Okay, and a little bit more up here. I'm washing my paintbrush and adding a little more pink. Okay, so I'm going to say that that's good for now. Now, we're going to do the trees. The trees here, see? So, over the mountains come up the palm trees. If you want to, on here I added a yellow glow from the sun along the mountains. That's also an option. If I was going to do that here, I'd probably only do it on a little bit, maybe not all the way over here, because here it's darker. And I can also add a little bit of dark paint over here, because in this particular painting, the sky got darker. Here it's only darker on top, and here it's darker in the corner a little bit. So you can bring the darkness down a little, the dark blue down a little bit. Again, blending it in, it's easier to blend it in if the paintbrush is wet, or if you just bring a clean, wet brush now. This is just a clean, wet brush with no paint, and kind of pull the dark blue onto the light blue a little bit. And that's how I'm blending it in a little bit more. Because the light blue under it already dried. If it was still wet, it would blend in naturally without more water. Okay, so we're going to do the trees now. I'm going to take a small brush. Does this have paint on it? It does. It has brown paint, which is exactly what I need. Okay, let's see how my palm trees turn out, okay? I'm going to do, let's think for a minute. I don't want to do a palm tree here because it will be right in front of the sun. So this painting might only have one palm tree. That's what I'm thinking. Let me think about where my flamingos will be. My flamingos will still have their heads here. Okay, so I'm going to I could do 2 trees here. Let's try that. It's a little harder to see the tree. You start by doing a line. It's a little thicker on the bottom and gets a little thinner when you get up. And I like it to go right into the sky, but just right there. It doesn't have to go too high, especially in this canvas because it's so small. And here I'm going to do another one. I actually meant for that one to be short, but that's okay. This one will have to be short. Maybe this palm tree should go the other way. Okay, I'm going to do one palm tree going that way and one palm tree growing kind of this way. We're kind of going to go into each other. We're going to be friends. Okay, so you see I'm kind of making it up as I go along because it turned out different than that painting. But you can choose, you know, you have a choice. If yours is more centered like this one, you could put two trees, or you could put one tree like I almost decided to do. So the tree starts with just a long trunk. You can barely see it in front of the other brown. I'll bring it up close just to make sure you can see. See, it doesn't look so special. Just looks like a brown line, a little bit with a little bit of a curve. And now on the top, I'm going to wash my brush. Okay, clean brush. I'm going to do light green first. Light green, see? And I'm going to try to do one. It's kind of behind the other tree. That's the first step, okay? I'm just sketching. I'm not putting in all the leaves yet, okay? So here I'm going to do, they're going to go into each other, which really makes it easier to paint it because it doesn't have to be so exact. One, but I'll try. Okay. Now. Okay, I want to help you see the painting a little, the trees a little bit more. So I'm going to start with the black. I don't have black on the palette, so I'm going to add a little black. I'm going to take a little paintbrush. See my little pointy brush? I'm going to bring it up close a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come up the edge of the tree. And then a little bit of lines. They're not even. Some are thick, some are little, some are thin. It's not exact. And then on the other side. I'm doing the black line on the side that's away from the sun because the sun is shining light on that side. So this side is the side of the shadow. Oops. It can be strong lines, it can be light lines. You can really do a striped tree. It turns out really nice too. I'm just making it very light. Now another color that I don't have on mine, and you could also use yellow actually, yellow or beige. I'm going to do beige, but you can do yellow. So I'm going to do this color, beige kind of, for the light side, for the side on the tree that has light. It's also the color of the legs of the flamingos, but it's also the colors. You can't tell so much on there, but it does make a difference. It helps the tree stand out a little bit more. It's hard to paint and show at the same time. Okay, I'm just doing a thin line on this side. Okay, I figured. Let's see. Okay, and I'm going to kind of blend it in a little bit with lighter lines on this side. And now on this side, hope you can see it. This side, the line's a little more delicate. And again, you can kind of pull the light in a little bit, the light line with little lines, little brush strokes. But you don't have to. Here is just a very thin line. I don't know if you could see a very thin line on the inside of the trees. But it's really light. It's not a huge, it's not like such an important part of the painting, but I like to do it. Okay. So we did that. Oh, now we have to work on the green part of the tree. Okay. What fell down? Not important. Okay. Now I'm washing my brushes, drying them all here. Grass. No, not grass. Tree branches. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep doing, basically we did these branches and now we're going to pull down some stripes from each branch. Can you see that? Can you see what I'm doing? I'm also I'm barely even doing a stroke. I'm kind of touching the brush to the canvas. This one's already a very thick line, so I'm not adding very much there. I'm kind of trying to add, what's the word? Body to the branches. They're not just a thin line. There's this one. I think, see, it's hard to see which branch comes from a tree, but it doesn't really matter. They're essentially have the same thing on them. They're still the same branches. So even if they get mixed up, it's okay. There's a line here. They got very light. Whoa, that was a lot of paint. Oh, kind of falling out of the screen here. Okay. Now I'm going to add the dark green. I don't have to wash the brush. I can just dip it into the same brush into the dark green and add some dark lines. This also works better once the light green dries. Then you can really kind of highlight it with dark paints. So I'm going over the top line with a dark green. And then I'm going to add a few dark spots inside each leaf. A few dark lines basically, but I'm just touching the brush to it on the side. So it's like, sorry, it's like this. Just ends up being about every other line light green. Here, this is dark, on top it's dark. I'll tell you what I mean. On top it's dark, and then every other line I add like a dark green between the light green. That's approximately what it ends up being. It's not a very exact way of drawing palm trees, though. It's especially because they're small and full of leaves. It's hard to see them so well, but that's basically what I'm aiming for. Okay. And again, when I'm all done with the painting, I can always look over and say, oh, that branch needs some more dark green, or that branch needs the lines to be a little bit adjusted, or you can always change something. But at first, I just kind of put all the lines in as best as I can. Okay, now we're going to add the grass. So grass, I like to add on the bottoms of the trees. So I'm basically kind of pushing at the bottom of the stroke and lifting up at the top of the stroke. So it makes kind of a thinner top of the stroke. It's kind of squished in the bottom and lifts up. And then I'm going to do that on this tree too. Some grass can be taller. And then I can add some patches of grass. Sorry, you guys can't see so well, can you? Okay, and then I can add some patches of grass. Let's add them over here. Hi, Lauren. Okay. Let's see, where else should I add? I'll add a little bit of grass here. I just kind of look at the painting and think where it would be nice to add a splotch of grass. And after all the dark green, I can wash the paintbrush a little bit or use a new light, smaller, thinner paintbrush. And I'm going to put it in the light green. Now back in the light green and add some highlights into the dark green grass. And again, this will work better. Once the dark green dries, you'll see the light green more. So I'm doing everything now because I don't have time to let things dry. But sometimes I go back later and then when it's dry, I can add things if I want to see them a little more, the highlights. All right, we're almost done. We're getting to the flamingos. That's the last part. Okay. Okay, that's going to be good enough for now. Okay, so the flamingos, there are different ways to draw flamingos. We're going to start with drawing the body. So the first shape is going to be kind of like an egg shape with a little bit of a point at the end. See, there's an egg and there's a point at the end. That's the first step. And then we're going to do this kind of curve. It's kind of like an S. This one's kind of like an S curve. This is a backwards S. And the head, the beaks, and we'll come back under it. It looks complicated. It's actually very simple. I will show you here a little bit. Here is the body. It's like a teardrop, like a leaf, or an egg with a little point for the tail, for the feathers. Then this S shape for the neck, and then you'll add the beak. And then you'll go under the beak and make the head and come back around for the neck. And then the legs are fairly simple, especially when it's in the water, because you do pretty much a straight line for one leg and a bent line for the other leg. So the tricky part is to get two of them to fit together into this shape. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of chalk again. The light blue is dry. I'm going to take, actually I'll take a pink chalk. You don't have to do this. You could try with a pencil very lightly. And you could do directly with a paintbrush. It works too. I'm just doing it now to sketch it. So we're going to do, let me think about where I want them to be. So I'm going to do an egg shape. Can you see that well? And then I'm going to do them at the same time as each other so that they can meet each other. So one egg here, one egg here. Okay, and then add a little bit of like a feather type of thing to the back. Now, coming up from here, I'm going to do an S, whoops, I want it to fall, an S shape because I want them to meet. So coming up from here, see that? Can you see that in the camera? Here they're meeting, okay. Now they're each going to have a beak coming to each other. They might kind of overlap. Mine are overlapping, but that's okay. Their beaks are overlapping. And then there's a head underneath. And then come back around for the neck. Back below for the neck, for the rest of the neck. Okay. I tried this a few times on paper. I didn't get this the first time. So if you want to practice, if you don't have chalk and you're worried about ruining your painting, you can practice doing the flamingo. After I finish this live, I will post a picture of the steps of how to do the flamingo. So for people who are doing this later, they can have that. Maybe I'll add that in the comments if that's possible. I'm not sure if you can add comments to live videos. But if you can, or somehow I'll post it on the website, on the Facebook page. So after you do this, basically you do the legs. So I will do a leg for each one. And then I will do a bent leg for the back. So that part doesn't have to be so exact. Okay, so now I'm going to paint it in. All right. Clean paintbrush. I think I need some more pink paint. Here's pink paint. And again, if you have limited paints at home, I'm hoping that everyone has at least the primary colors in black and white. So you can mix red and white to make the pink. I'm just using pink right now because I have all the different colors that I need. And also, if anybody is missing art supplies during this time of being quarantined at home and you live near Pardes Khana, Israel, I have extra art supplies that I'm happy to sell. A lot of them I'm happy to give, depends on what it is, but a lot of them I'm selling in containers, and I have paintbrushes and canvases and different things. Okay, so now I'm painting in the flamingos. Basically, it's all pink, except for the legs. I'm going to add a peach color, but they could be pink, it could be white, it could be yellow or orange. Really depends on the colors that you want to pick, the colors that you have. And then on the feathers, I like adding white, and on the beak also, and then the black eye. I'm going to start with the circle of the head, see? Making sure it's in the camera, okay. And chalk washes off. So if you find that you want to paint inside the chalk, like I'm finding, I don't want to cover all the chalk lines. I think that will make the neck a little bit fatter than I want it to be. That's okay. When the painting is all dry, when the paint is all dry, the chalk will rub right off or wipe off with a little bit of water. So I don't have to like go on the chalk. That's why I like chalk for canvas paintings. So I'm painting this all the way in. Maybe I'll make the head a little bit rounder. Make the neck a little bit. See, I'm kind of straightening the edges, cleaning up the edges a little bit. But the neck is kind of wide for the thickness of the body. That's okay. It looks nice. All right, now this side. Lauren, I miss you. I guess I don't need to yell. I guess you guys can hear me fine. I feel like I need to yell when I'm talking to you. I'm knocking over my things. Okay, I'm coming to this side so I can paint this bird. Lauren is one of my main students. She's been in my classes since I opened Imagine Studio Imagine, about 2 years ago. She's come to my classes since the beginning. Her daughter was in my chug last year, and Lauren continued in my classes this year and has come to my canvas nights. Basically, Lauren's almost like my partner in my business, even though she's not officially. She actually has done work for me here too, because she knows her way around the studio. And as much as I miss being here and I miss my friends like Lauren, I bet Lauren misses the studio a lot too, because I have been able to come back here and paint, but Lauren hasn't. Even though I've offered, when I'm not here, people, I don't know how it works with the quarantine, but I've offered for some people to come by and paint on their own. But so far it's just been me. Okay, so see, the pink is a little transparent. I don't know if you could tell in the video, and you could see the light blue behind it a little bit. But honestly, I like that. If you're painting with acrylic paints, that won't be a problem, because most acrylic paints are not so transparent. But with gouache paints, it's a little more transparent. Like this head is a little more blue than I want it to be, so I'm going over it again with a little more pink. But really, it's fine. It's beautiful. Like you don't have to. I like the color that it is without going over it. Okay, now I'm washing my paintbrush, and I'm going to go into the cream color now, kind of like body, like skin color, and I'm going to paint in the leg and the other leg. You could do something for the foot, kind of like pointing down a little bit at the end, but I'm not doing much detail for that. It doesn't seem like necessary to me. But in the attachment that I'm going to put afterwards that shows the steps of it, it does show a more detailed foot. So if you want to, you can do that. Also, people can follow these instructions and make the same picture, but with markers, with pencils, with crayons. And in the beginning, I said also watercolors. Really, it's a kind of picture that lends itself to every medium, in my opinion. It's harder to cover large surfaces like all the water and all the sky and all the mountains with pencils, for example, or crayons might be, although that's a little easier. But you can do it, and it's very pretty. And you can also make a smaller drawing if you're doing it with pencils. Okay, I'll do the big cream colored too. I can't believe we're almost done. I'm almost done with my first live Facebook class. So starting on Wednesday, I said this earlier, I'm going to start doing, see the beaks are a little bit overlapping, but I think that's okay. When it dries, I'll be able to tell better because right now it has chalk on it, so it's hard to tell. I'm going to wash my paintbrush and dip it in the black for the eye. And maybe I'll use the black. Is that what I did here? Ah, my whole painting is falling over. You guys see it still? Here, no, here I used white actually. Okay. Anyway, I'm taking black here to put the eye in. Eye. And eye. And if I want to, I can maybe do a little bit of a beak. There you go. That makes it a little more clear. Although the bottom got messed up a little bit. Let's wash it. I was going to say that next Wednesday, in a couple days, in 3 days is it? I'm going to start doing classes online. The first one anyone joins is free, and after that it will cost a little money, but less than my real face-to-face classes are. And the first one is free, and there's anyone who joins the first class is a trial class. So anyway, it's going to be on a thing like Zoom, so that I can see you guys and I can talk. You guys can talk back to me. It'll be more like a real class. This is just more like a demonstration. Okay. What do you guys think? Give me a what's possible, thumbs up or hearts or whatever if you think it looks good. This was the original. I did it for a birthday party for a wonderful young girl who chose that subject, so she inspired me. She wanted flamingos in front of a sunset, and then I decided I thought that would be a good one for today because it's really good for children and it was also fun for adults. I remember her father and her aunt painted at her birthday party. So anyway, you get the idea. Thank you all for joining me. Have a wonderful night. And I'm going to turn this off for now. Hope to see you guys next time.